Huh. Hvar lol. Hvar er hlekkurinn? God damn it. God damn it. Thank you, Tao. I don't know how to say that name. Right. Okay. Hello, Laszlo. And Derpy. Wouldn't be a live stream without Derpy Dog. Welcome to the crowd, Black Thunder. Thunder A? I'm just gonna say Black Thunder. There's a very good reason why I named my station Snoogms. And it's not just an eco thing. It actually has a function in the game. I'll cover that in a moment. Hello, Satish. You guys can hear me okay? Everything. I've been having some internet troubles at home lately. Hope the connection stays stable. Snoo-while? Not sure if that's a typo or a jab at me. You guys can do like in the chat, you can do like, at Solid Cloud, so that when you have a question for me, it kind of highlights. Can somebody check that out for me? That used to be a thing, at least. Because like the live stream is what, like 20 seconds after everything. There's like a delay, so I don't miss them. Wait, hang on. At this works. Yeah, that works. Great stuff. Well, Derpy, there are no longer, explicit fake attacks anymore, so you'll have to spend a fleet on each one, so I welcome you to do all of them. And not to cancel them, just like occupy all your fleets for the rest of the game. Okay, guys, so what I aim to do today is kind of show you how I built up my empire. Hopefully remember all the choices along the way. This is the beginning of week 4 on server 3. And first of all, this is my starting station, and if I press S, you can see that I named all my stations beginning with Snoo. Now this, like I said, it's not just an egotistical thing, it's because there's a convenience in the movement UI that you can filter by your stations. So if all your stations share the same first letters, it's easy to just type them in. I don't have any movements going on, but then hang on. But at that point, I can see all the movements that pertain to my stations, to and from. See, it's only showing me stations that begin with the name Snoo. So that is the reason why they all begin with Snoo. Eventually, we're gonna have a feature up here which lets you sort all the movements that belong to a player, but that's not in yet, so that's what I do now. For the convenience of just seeing all of the movements that have something to do with my own station. So, my first station, I elected to go for the Bellicose Industry Company. And the reason is this, is because I like, in the early game, to be very actively raiding to complement the passive income of my resources. My strategy for this is, for the first couple of weeks, is to get up to around 7 Corvette fleets, about 150 to 200 units each, and just keep them raiding all the time. And just the level 1 NPCs. You don't piss anybody off by raiding them. You just go for the level 1 NPCs everywhere, and you clean them out constantly. What I would do is that there used to be a lot of level 1 NPCs here, but they're all gone because I've been using them to level up my bomber fleets. So what the Bellicose does for you is that it just gives you access to so much plunder in the early game that even though somebody else is raiding all the level 1s, whatever they leave behind, you can usually pick up. So most of your trips with your Corvettes won't be wasted. They won't come back empty-handed. I feel this is a very strong way to begin the game, but it only suits people who are going to be super active. Like I would be constantly logging in while I was awake, sending out my Corvettes, just keeping them busy the whole time. And you can see, like week 1.5, just before week 2, this gets a little bit tiresome, but like I virtually haven't raided much past like the 10th or 11th day or something, and this is what I got in the first week, which helped me grow my empire. Most of this would be spent on creating more Corvettes in the beginning, but of course building buildings and outposts, whatever you do with rest. So for the first 2 weeks, I was Terran Combine. The reason I chose Terran Combines is I just wanted to build a lot of stuff, and I wanted to get this bonus most of all, but it's also super cool to augment your outposts in the beginning. Like all of my stations that are in here in my starting area, they're all fully augmented, all the outposts are augmented, but after that it dropped off because I switched to Atlas for a while. I think that was kind of a mistake. I was thinking I would enjoy the extra passive res, but my sector is very lowly populated with active players. You can see that if you check out all the orange squares where the player capitals are, like this entire area here is almost devoid of other players. So what I've done is I didn't need the claim strength. I never had any claim confrontations with anybody, so I should have just skipped this step and kept this. It was kind of a waste of a clean slate to change to Atlas for a while. And then eventually went to Saug, and I pretty much think that I went to Saug too early. Bottom line is, like, I haven't been to war with anybody. I could have just stayed Frontier Legion the entire time. I mean Terran Combine. I could have stayed Terran Combine the whole time and saved a bunch of resources and augmented everything. But yeah, you gotta make mistakes to learn, right? So my second station, because I went for the heavy ship assembly in the first station, I wanted to get my destroyers out real fast. I started to build up a heavy ship army. It was probably premature to build it right away because I didn't really use it for like 2 or 3 days after I built it, because I didn't have the resources for it properly, and I couldn't get it up to a very high level. So I could have probably delayed actually building it for a while, and I probably would have had more light units by now without actually losing any amount of heavy units if I had just built light units here for a bit. But the second station I built the mining colony, and I always intended to card it twice. I didn't have the legendaries at the time. Wait, that's the wrong station. So I have a couple of resource silos. I actually have the legendary card now, but I haven't placed it on because I need to build another mining colony. But this station was never meant to do anything but to produce a bunch of resources for my empire, feed my first station's heavy ship assembly, and eventually I would build the capital ship assembly here, which I have done now, because I like having my capital ship assembly in a station that kind of just pays for itself. I don't have to freight any resources to the station that's building my capital ships. And as you can see, both of my first stations, Snoogville and Snoo's first two stations, they're both complete. Neither of them are actually building any buildings. I've done all the buildings in them, and I have moved the capital. Snoogville is not my capital anymore. I had a hard choice picking the. Maybe I'll show you guys the company I built in here. I went for the freighters, transgalactic exports, simply because there's such a basic thing to be able to freight properly from a station that's producing a lot. And I haven't actually built another mining colony station, and that is probably influenced by the fact that the active players in my sector and in my alliance, we aren't very many, and we haven't even built our alliance station yet. But if we had the alliance station up, I would be sorely missing that second mining colony, because right now the resources I have are like just sustaining my own empire. And if I would be a contributing member to an alliance station or a Dyson sphere and a fob, I would need a lot more output, passive output of my resources, because I've stopped raiding. So when I was picking my third station, it was really hard if I should do another heavy ship assembly or to do a habitation dome. I went for the habitation dome eventually because I felt I was missing out of a bit of labor to support all those raiding fleets I had at the beginning. As you can see, I didn't take the habitation dome beyond level 2 simply because at that point it was enough. I took the Wall Industrial Company at that point because when I built my third station, it wasn't clear that I had so few rivals around me. So I was thinking like, I'm going to claim more area, but I could have just as easily picked the other company. But this worked out fine. And this choice of taking the extra radius actually influenced my erroneous choice of going into Atlas for a bit. I was trying to maximize that part. That resource view is showing pretty fast blips. Are the speeds of the pulses related to how much is being gathered? Yes, that is absolutely correct. When they go so fast, they scale with the amount of input you get from them. So this isn't an accurate, because I am actually streaming a lot of resources away from this station, so these numbers are a little bit higher. I don't want you to think that I have a low resource stream. The mining colony is actually producing rather nicely. It's a really sweet bonus getting that 450 labor from it. I don't think that the other company that would have given me the getting the resource fields here would have helped much, because there are so few, and I just wanted to make sure I caught these 2 planets and these 2 moons. And these are nice. This is a grand planet and a large moon, so that's super cool. Third station went for the labor. Fourth station went again for the heavy ship assembly. And because at this point you're getting levels to build the gunships. This was always meant to be a gunship factory. When I built this station, it was probably pretty clear that there were no immediate threats to my empire. So I built the fortress to claim the extra area. It gave me a couple of new fleets, and it actually just increases the passive income for resources for Snoogtown. I was rather lucky here. As you can see, my empire is surrounded by suns. I was running solar flares to these 4 stars, for actually this one as well. So I was doing these solar flares a lot, right into like beginning of week 3, or even a little bit beyond it. So that is how I built my first 4 stations. Units and rating for res, passive res income, labor output, and then somewhere to build my gunships. Because I want to like, as soon as I hit war, I want my attacks to be of such a nature that you want to defend against them. That when I hit, they're going to bomb the crap out of you, right from the get-go. To that end, to follow that up, that is why I also always planned on going into Sauk, because there's only a couple of us guys, it's like 4 or 5 of us, super active in the sector, and the plan was always to go into Sauk so that I could raid like a mofo. That is kind of what I would have liked to have done. But the lack of confrontation was absolute. But what happened very early is that, like right in week 2, what we did, me and my buddy Smoo, so not to confuse you guys too much, this is Snoogms. This is a real life friend of mine, so we are Snoogms, and we've been playing as such for 25 years. What we did was we kind of just looked around at the sectors that are adjacent to us, and we're trying to figure out which sectors were weak, that didn't have very organized alliances or very active alliances or weren't very aggressive. And it quickly was pretty clear that Cygnus is probably one of the most active sectors adjacent to Draco. And right away, these guys, they built here. So Toothinator and Klaus, damn you Klaus, they both built really close to these 2 GGs. This one belongs to Cygnus, and this one belongs to Draco. And we were staring in the face of like 40 people organized, because the blue ones and the green ones here, the teal ones, they're in cahoots. So we just wanted to make sure that we didn't have like 4 of us going up against 40. So we reached out to Cygnus to strike a political agreement, which we have. So that was taken care of. We wouldn't have to fight them here, and we wouldn't have to deal with the whole thing here. Our original plan was then we identified Ares as one of the weak sectors around us. We meant to go there, but we already have people from Achilles starting to encroach. So this is a Draco GT, so we are not sure what's happening to us now. There's no way that we have the manpower to go against. This is what are their names again? Not Achilles. Yeah, Achilles. Huh. Why doesn't it show? Why is it yellow? Achilles Alliance. Huh. Maybe they belong to another sector now. That's weird. So we kind of have nobody to fight at the moment, which is why I've spread out my empire so nicely, because there's nobody to conflict with. So basically, we feel safe and vulnerable at the same time. Thankfully, we have allies, so we're just going to try and secure as many GTs in here as we possibly can before we continue. So after this core empire was established, I started to look for a good station for my capital. And one of the criteria today that I have for my capital, because the capital allows you to build 4 mining facilities. So what I want for my capital, because it's going to be supporting the majority of my fleets, is that it produces a lot of labor. So I wanted a place where I could place down 4 mining facilities that have a lot of labor around them. And as you can see, I'm getting 792 labor from this one, 704, 528, and 528, which is pretty decent. It was a little bit later that I found a place which would have probably been better. But I've already built there, but now that one only has 3 of them, because it's not a capital. So that's over here. This one is, to me, amazing. Let me just... So right now, I've not put the cards on yet. So I've got 400 labor, 200, and another 200. So, but what happens if I put on some nice cards for my mining facilities? There we go. So here's what happens. 800, 1,000, 900. So that's really, really sweet for a non-capital station. You can see that I have a minus 1,741. That you can see that down here. This is because I am currently operating under total war. So because I have nobody to fight, all I'm doing right now is pumping out as many units as I possibly can, with the objective being that because we are so few, that if we have wars, there are going to be wars of attrition, and I need to be able to replenish my fleets a lot. So the longer I can stay out of war and under total war policy, the better it will be for the eventual conflict that I will maybe initiate. We'll see. I have a striking feeling that I'll probably be the recipient of an aggressive action rather than the instigator. So right now my fleets are just sat here. All I'm doing today is building up my labor facilities in my capital. I've got 17, 10, this one's at 11 and 12. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just going to maximize the amount of units I can fleet and to have as many fleets in reserve as possibly when conflict comes. So this is now my capital, Snoogborough, and you can see it really bugs me. I don't think I did good in placing it because it's so alone. If when the time comes when I'm under war, I will need to build additional stations here because my capital is not defending the GT I have here, and the stations here that are defending the GT do not defend my capital. So that is a weak spot in my planning. But you always got to be prepared. Should conflict come, there is no stress until the very end of the game to defend this regularly. Like if I receive attacks from my GT, there's no stress for me to defend it. I can let the attacks hit, but I can always defend my capital. That will always be my first choice, because even though somebody destroys these stations, I can rebuild them before the end of the game and claim the GT. I then, let me see, why is it not lighting up? There we go. So I have a strain station over here. I think I made a mistake building it, but we shall see. At least it's there if we have to, fend off Achilles. The thing is that we don't need all the GTs in our area because we are going to join another coalition that's going to have all the GTs. We just need as many as possible. The coalition that we're going to be in, they're basically going to get 4, 5, 6 players, and they're going to get like a bargain of like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 GTs with those relatively few players. So it's a very good deal for Cygnus because they get very few players and a lot of GTs out of them. So all we have to do is kind of defend our area, but it's really hard because we're so few at the moment. We have a plan for that, but I'd rather not reveal it presently. So, talking about factions, one of the things that I like to do, is because I'm usually kind of a lone wolf in these, is that I like my attacks to be very dangerous. Like if you don't defend my attacks, your station will suffer. And what I intend to do is to have gunboat diplomacy, which is why which will give bombing to all my destroyers, frigates, and recon and gunship, right? So all of my destroyers are going to be carded for station bombing. So it doesn't matter to me that they're going to die a lot, as long as it's absolutely clear that if you do not defend against my attack, your station is going to suffer greatly. So the plan is to have 10, 12 destroyer fleets, a couple of carriers, and then just a bunch of light units with them. I'm only building, patrol ships are the only light ships I'm building today, because I want the strongest light ships out there, which also coincides with the fact that I'm using patrol routes. So right now I'm just building and expanding slowly. Yeah, I'm loading. So, how are we enjoying the politics panel? Here we go. So I used to be in the top 10 but then the bugs hit me and I wasn't able to lock in for like 38 hours or something. Where am I now? I'm now at 17. So I lost dailies for an entire day. That sucked. So it's not that I don't share your pain when the bugs hit you. What's also part of what we can do as such a few members of the group, is to serve as the eyes and ears for sickness. Like, we're kind of a buffer for sickness, but we will be active in striking out from Draco eventually. The more time we have to build up, the better. So we are very passive at the moment. We don't want to make enemies. I've been actually saving my daily challenge caches. No, not daily, the daily rewards, which you get from the daily supplies. These guys. I haven't actually opened a few of them, and I might open them at the end of this stream. How do you make destroyers be able to bomb stations? That's a good question. So there's two ways to do that. The best one is, is the gunboat diplomacy policy. So it just adds 10 station bombing to all your heavy ships except for your troop carriers, which don't need it. So all of my heavy ships, including my destroyers, which are going to have station bombing from that. But also, if you take a look, I'm using. Actually, I'm not using it on that one. So I'm using AP rounds. I've been diligently crafting AP rounds. So you can also card them. So let me just go to the inventory. So there are these two. There's the epic ones, as you can see. Like, whenever I get a daily challenge to craft a card, I craft the AP rounds, because I'm going to be putting that on all of the fleets. Once I have fleeted all my units, I will be doing the WAP rounds. But I don't want to spend. I don't know how many credits I have, so I'm just gonna, be frugal and do the AP rounds, and then once I have to go into action, I'll make as many WAP rounds as I can. So those are the two ways you can give bombing to your heavy ships. It's by carding it up with these two, and the military policy, the gunboat diplomacy. However, I mean, this is a sacrifice. There are like I'm missing out on all the firepower and the hit points cards, so I'm going to be losing my heavy ship units, and I'm prepared for that, which is why all of my stations, like if you see all the heavy ship assemblies that I have, they are building destroyers, carriers, patrol ships, gunships, and then I have one more station that can't build heavies, but here I have heavies, and here I have heavies, and actually Snoogms, right, didn't I? Yeah, I've begun building heavies there as well. Ooh, hang on. So I can actually, no! How much? 22, 21? Let me just quickly upgrade that. This hasn't been paid for, so we can cancel it. Press R, go into exchange, Snoogms. Here we go. And now I can upgrade this. So the plan is just to pump out a lot of destroyers, and whoever, like, I'm going to be vulnerable if somebody attacks me. All that bombing stuff is not going to help me at all when I'm attacked, which is good that I have at least a few friends who can do things differently. So I can just kind of tell you, show you, I don't mind, my hangar status. So here I have 1.5 fleet of destroyers worth of units. I have 1.5 fleets of carriers. I did the dreadnoughts solely like for the achievements. I'm probably not going to spend a fleet slot on it, but who knows, maybe later. I've got quite a few fleets of patrol ships here. I have 2 more fleets at least of the gunships. Here's a 1.5 fleet of the destroyers, and the some patrol ships more, and another fleet of destroyers. So I actually have like 4 or 5 full destroyer fleets already ready for this plan, and like 2.5 more fleets already ready of the gunships. Now I don't mean to have too many gunship fleets because they are precious. I don't want them to soak up the damage. I want the destroyers and the patrol ships to soak up the damage. So when I land, I want the casualties to be mainly in the patrol ships and destroyers. So last time I did this strategy, I had five or six fleets of gunships. I think I might up that to at least 6, maybe 7 this round. We'll see. But there's no guarantee. Like when I had 6 fleets of gunships, maybe it was 5. When I had 5 fleets of gunships, and all my destroyers were equipped for bombing, I was able to take maybe take stations down by 400, 500 influence in one round. So like I would go and attack somebody, and they would have like a 600 influence station, and it would go down to like 200 or 100 just in that one attack. And I kind of want to get to a point where when I start a conflict, that I'm almost able, hopefully, be able to one-shot stations, so that each attack for me will be super dangerous. And the way to kind of minimize the losses of such attacks is to have fake attacks going on. So you devote 1 fleet or 2 fleets just with 1 unit. You send them to 2 stations, but your main threat is going to the 3rd station. So the defenders don't know exactly which station to defend. So that kind of will keep them on their toes and help me avoid losses more. What happens to all cards at the end of server? They all get broken down automatically for the blueprint fragments. So all of your cards at the end of the server will be translated into blueprint fragments, and you can use that to upgrade your blueprints for your next game. So the cards are there. However, if you're very meticulous, somebody had like a system that was marginally better to break them down yourself. But I just let the automatic stuff do it for myself. Whelping 7 gunfleets is hard to recover from. Yeah. So yeah, that's a fair point from Jay. So like if my fleet makeup is too gunship heavy, they're going to be soaking a lot of damage. I'm going to be losing more of them each attack, and they take a long time to replenish. So it's very dangerous to have too many gunships from one player. But we are few, and we need, like, whatever we do, like, we need to be dangerous when we want to. So 6, 7 gunships fleets, I don't know, maybe 5 is enough. So this is where I'm at today. I have 8 stations. 5 of them are producing heavy ships, then capital ships and gunships. No, 4 producing heavy ships, 1 capital ships, 1 gunships, and then I have 2 stations producing the patrol ships. Yeah, and you can see that I don't have any cards on. It's basically because under Total War, like, you can take Total War off every morning and put other cards on and do all the stuff you want with all the labor you want. I just couldn't be arsed. So I haven't done many missions, and my inventory is, like, you see, like, I have 574 cards, which is not a lot. It is a little bit, it's a bare minimum. However, I did manage to score a beautiful commerce hub station, which is this little baby. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. So you can see my commerce hub. It's actually, so what you want with a commerce hub is that wait, hang on. You want it to touch as many resource fields as you can possibly. For me, like, the minimum is 14. I will not build a commerce hub that is not going to cover at least 14 resource fields. But I found a great spot really close to my station where I think it's 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wait, I can't count. Is that 18? No, it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, 17. So, and that gives me a yield of 30.6 per day, which is almost an epic card. every day. So whenever I get the daily challenges to craft cards, I feel comfortable doing another AP rounds. We don't have a fob, we don't have an alliance station, but we have actually been working on that. You can see, like, we have, like, me and Smoo, we are going to build it, but we might actually, oh, somebody's spying me. Thank you, providing content for my stream, that's very nice. Yeah, so our plan is simply to live and grow. We're not going to provoke any conflict anytime soon, but we don't want to be vulnerable if we do. So that is the political landscape that we are operating in presently. I would love some questions, please. If you want to see some avenue of my empire, or that, you're fine. I'm happy to reveal everything here. Yeah, no alliance station makes it, because whenever we go up against alliance, they'll have the alliance station bonuses. We won't. They can use the forward operating bases to come in. We can't. So we are rather limited at the moment. Yeah, please keep spying. Like, there's an achievement there that I haven't gotten yet, where you defend against spying. I would love that. It's a few credits, a couple extra cards for me. Thank you. Just keep it coming. That's 4. Yeah. Every time. Have you ever made a game, some working program in 6502 assembly? No, I haven't, Blackthorner. That would be a very succinct answer to that. How do you ask a question? Derby Dog, that's a very good question. I think that if you read your last comment, you have answered it. Let me see. Everything's building for the evening. No, we have some building. I'm almost done with so many stations, but at this point the influence from getting from them isn't super important to me. I'm not competing to be the highest influence game ranked in the game, and being ranked, we rank like by default by influence is kind of it's not. It doesn't give an accurate picture of how powerful a player is. It just tells you like circa how many stations that player has. Because you can not gain a lot of, not build a new station, then build a troop carrier and conquer a station that gives you 800 points and jump up that list. Now let me see. Aquilian, thoughts on using signal interference fleets to stealth bomb? So we've always been very shy at giving too much stealth into the game. The chief reason for that is that we don't want players to be like completely railroaded by like what happened, why did my station blow up, I never saw anything happen. We always want to give players a bit of like, you should always, if you are monitoring a game, you should always have some time to respond to incoming attacks. Having a fleet that has high stealth, like you could do that. That's actually a super cool idea, and now I want to do that. And that would probably, the best way to do that would be to be Tian Chao and to build a lot of recons, and then use the gunboat diplomacy policy. This one here, and you can card them for that. And the great thing about that is that the stealth cards, which are these guys, they yeah. So it's still. So yeah, we changed the name signal interference to stealth a little back, and obviously that hasn't been done everywhere in the games. But signal interference and stealth is the same thing. So these cards, they don't fit this, like they don't compete for a slot on the fleets with the with firepower, hit points, and station bombing. So you can actually get some super cool recon fleets up with very high stealth. And make them bomb stations, and I think that's a very sexy option. I'm currently contemplating of adding a little bit of stealth into the game, but the end point will always be that you can reveal incoming stealth. Like there will always be, like for instance, right now, the Atlas guys, they have probes that give you 800 scan strength, right? Stealth will never go beyond that. The Atlas probe will always be the highest value and will always be able to see all movements. But if you have guys, if you're scouting out somebody and you're spying them and you see that they don't have many scanners or not very high level scanners, and they're not Atlas, you can probably guess that they will never see you coming when you do. And we need to add a feature into the combat report that tells you like, oh, you were under attack, and this was the stealth value, to kind of explain to the players what happened, because they won't see it coming. Next question. Are these recons actually worth it? They are expensive and seem to draw aggression. So the recons, actually, like the best units, if you're just going to build one type of unit, it would be the recons and the scouts. Like, they have almost the firepower and hit points of patrol ships and frigates, but they also defend against all saboteurs. So all your army defends against saboteurs. You never have to devote fleet slots to scouts and recons especially, and have everything else different. All of your fleets, no matter where they are, they will defend against saboteurs. But it also leaves you, like, it also makes it so that if you suffer a station sabotage attack, if somebody sabotages your station, they can do like one round of combat with you before the main army comes. So it's a dual-edged blade. Defending, like, but I'm definitely going to try that at some point. When do we get in-game tools for station planning? What I have in mind for, like, we've already planned everything that's going to be in beta, but there is a super simple feature that I'm going to try and cram in there. I already have like people, like I have goodwill that it will be done, but it's not on the schedule. But it's not a big feature. It shouldn't take too long, and hopefully I'll get in it because it's going to help us tremendously. And it's really that simple. Is that there would be a button somewhere or a keyboard shortcut or both, where like when you hover over a hex, you will simply see like a radius around where you're hovering, and you can scroll up or scroll down to increase or decrease the radius. And all that would happen is that there would be a tooltip that would appear, and it would just tell you how much ice, how much metal, how much gas and crystal are in the radius you're looking at. That's going to tell you, like, very quickly. It's also going to give you the count of resource fields, the count of moons, the count of planets. So like just mousing over something and scrolling up and down will like very quickly give you an indication of what kind of area you're looking at. And what is definitely going to be in the beta is the ability to pin hexes. You'll be able to place down a marker that's either visible to you, to a friend, or to your allies, and you can have like you can write notes into it, so you remember where you're going to build that mining facility, and you remember where you're going to build that station. On that subject of being able to plan ahead, I'm working on the overhauling of the building planner. It's going to be vastly different from what you're seeing today. One of the biggest changes is going to be that all the buildings are no longer going to require labor. Like there's not going to be any labor cost associated with buildings, because having them cost labor kind of just deters you from wanting to build them. For example, like I have a station that has 800 labor available that's going to supply a single fleet, and if I build all my buildings up to 10, it's no longer going to supply a single fleet. So we don't want that choice to be there anymore. We just want you to build all the buildings you want to all the levels you want without thinking that it's going to deter your attack plan. Chicka chicka wow wow. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the factions in general as well, and kind of what strategies are associated with them. So you begin with these three available to you, and the advantages of these is like Frontier Legion is for those that intend to be super aggressive and to do a lot of missions. So not only do you get faster patrol ships, which are the best light ships overall regarding combat, they have the highest firepower, so they'll be able to do more missions. They're also, like, the patrol ships can also do more types of missions than any other unit, both the patrol ship and the frigates. So having extra firepower allows you to complete high level missions faster, and they gain more XP, which means, and because when you level up the patrol ships, you gain hit points and firepower, so both of their abilities kind of tie into being the first guy who's doing all the high level missions. Later in the game, if you are a hammer, this is a great way to kind of just like you could pump out corvettes and pump out their firepower and just kind of dump your vets onto the target for your alliance and do a massive amount of damage to the defensive fleets. So that is the early game strategy, is to do a lot of missions, level up your fleets. This doesn't, like, the level bonuses on all your fleets, like your industrials, your scouts, all your fleets will gain XP faster. The Atlas Syndicate is there. It has the wonderful ability of having an extra claim strength. So if you are surrounded by players who have a lot of claim wars, Atlas will give you a distinct advantage. And the extra station harvest is great. It's a passive income of res, and it affects your, like, the area you claimed with the fortress, and of course the extra radius you claim with I forget its name, with the with wall industrial security. The late game also Atlas has a higher scan strength on the scouts, which means that you can access the scout, like, all of the missions require firepower except for the scout missions. They require scan strength. So even though you have everybody's Frontier Legion around you, if you are Atlas, you kind of have a monopoly on all the scout missions, and you'll be able to much sooner complete level 4s and 5s than those around you of the scout missions. And often, like, you will often see that, like, if you have no Atlas players around you, you can just see those level 4 and 5 blue missions. They hang on the map for a long time. In the late game, Atlas has the strongest probes, 800 scan strength, and in an organized alliance, somebody should be Atlas. You really don't want to be surprised by Tian Chao players if you're in conflict, and you should have, you know, several fleets dedicated to be super good probe fleets. They have the so they have, you know, extra scan radius. They have extra duration. The scan duration. That is definitely not the right picture here. Okay, so, like, they last a long time. They sit there. They have a huge radius, so you can basically scan, like, an entire alliance in a couple of days, because of the strategic division, where you get 20 extra speed on your scan probes. So I have literally scanned like 15, 20 players in 3 days, and it lasts a week. So we had complete vision over everything they did for a long time. So that is the Atlas late game ability, is to have that supervision. The Terran Combine, which I selected for my starting station, so this is just a really nice bonus. It's going to save you a ton of resources, but it doesn't create resources. So the difference there is, like, you still have to go out and get the resources. So that's why I rated to complement this, but you save a lot of them. And being able to augment outposts is a wonderful ability. It really does matter. And you should have a Terran Combine player in your alliance, because that player can augment other players' outposts. So, like, for example, the augment that gives the Stargate an extra radius of influence. Like, I was out of Terran. I was no longer Terran when I built this one. It's not augmented. That meant for it to cover both stations, I had to craft the legendary card. But if I still had the augment up, but nobody in my alliance can augment, I could have saved, I don't know, a few credits here and had the epic card instead, and just given it one. But c'est la vie. The Sauk is, and the reason why I actually bought Sauk, I don't get any plat or any money to spend on the game. Everything that I buy with my own money when I play Starborn. So none of this is free for me, in case somebody was wondering. The Sauk, I unlocked Sauk for this server because I know I'm going to have wars of attrition, and this is just going to be the best thing. I'm probably not going to be using this at all. I'm not rating anything in particular, but there's going to be a case where this matters. So one of the most underutilized policies in the game is, let me see, military, is the preemptive demolition. So what preemptive demolition allows you to do, it gives you extra firepower while you're raiding, but it also allows you to hit the hangar units that are hidden by the military hangars. So military hangars makes it so that the units that are in your hangar, like they don't participate in combat. They don't nobody can destroy your units unless they have that policy. So, and the reason why this is underutilized, because it is my firm belief that when two alliances go head to head, there should be, several players that have 3, 4, 5 fleets each of corvettes or destroyers that are raiders, because oftentimes the outcome of a battle depends on how many times one alliance can refleet all of their repopulate their fleets with units. How many times you can do that over and over. If you do this, if you identify where the players have huge hangars of units, you can sacrifice a single fleet of corvettes and kill thousands of units in return. Even if all your units die, you're trading like 800 units for 2,000 units, or 10,000 units, depending on if they're not defended at all. So that is something that I would always do if I go to war. I would always try and find out where the juicy hangars of units are and go and try and destroy them before initiating conflict. Yes, Tavok, you have to do a raid movement. You cannot do an assault. So you just send one fleet on a raid movement, and 1 to one station, and 2 to another, and 3 to the third, because they also serve as fake attacks. So you might have one main assault on your target, but then you send these raiders out, and they are decoys. And if they're not defended against, they are going to be they're going to wreak havoc on the hangar units of the target, and it's going to be harder for them to recuperate from the war. Is there any plan to expand into more roles for players to branch out into, like becoming traveling merchant on the server? Also, any plans to make NPCs more interesting? There are no plans for any. So when you talk about roles, you mean like things to do? Like the roles are kind of dictated by the faction you choose, kind of what your purpose in your alliance is. Jack B. Smith, once you pay for a faction, you can play that faction on any server for the rest of it. They are account bound. We are going to expand on the roles, or what I would just call factions. There are going to be more factions, more variety. Right now we feel that this is a great balance that we have, and it's more than enough to go into beta. But as beta stabilizes and we start to scale up, we are going to introduce new things into Starborn. So yes, there's going to be different kinds of roles. Yeah, so the extra 20% plunder here is not only for the early game, it's also for those strategic strikes where you just want to clean out the hangars of your opponents. Tian Chao, no serious alliance can be taken seriously unless it has Tian Chao players or access to Tian Chao players via their coalition. These guys are so important because of these features here. So not only do they provide detailed information about your opponents, they also are able to pin all of the units on the station down. Like normal station sabotage will pin industrial fleets, so you would pin the fleets and they can't repair the outposts before your attack lands. But this just pins them all. So if they have an army, you want they have gathered an army at a station, and you want to hit that army. You want conflict. You want them to defend. You can pin them down by repeatedly sabotaging the station. Yeah, Tian Chao are super useful, and Klaus is always Tian Chao. MPL, these guys. This is your lovely neighborhood Care Bear and Farmer. These guys are the lifeblood of your alliance, because if you have a few of these in your alliance, if you have 2, 3, 4 of these, they can almost single-handedly keep up a single communal structure like the alliance station. The carrying cargo capacity for freighters and the extra, this percentage is on top of everything. It works exactly like the industrial complex. So whatever the income is, it's a total bonus on the top. Even if you place cruxes on stations, it's even a bonus on top of these. So the MPL guys, if they build their mining colonies up and they can produce a tremendous amount of resources for your alliance. If you're playing like a lone wolf a little bit, I wouldn't stay too long. It's not for me, at least. Like I like conflict. Yeah. So that's kind of like the early and late game strategy for all of them. Notice that the slots of them, like they change. So like the options to use policies changes. Don't forget that the wildcard slot is not really apparent, but it can accept any type of cards. So even if you pick MPL and you want, you know, a military card rather than some wild card, you can actually place the military card here or the second domain card. Let me see. Have I done my dailies? I need to complete 2 missions. Yeah, I better do that. I don't have many fleets. Because I have such little labor. There we go. And this guy. No. Okay. No. I'm the worst. Raider. There we go. I'll do them all. Pirate faction with 5 wild cards. Very interesting derby. Very interesting. That's. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. Let's open up some casters, shall we? So what I want from these guys are, I want fleet cards. I don't want station cards. I want fleet cards because I don't want to have to pay for, because you need so many fleet cards. I just want to open up carbon plates. I just want to open up heavy ship bombing cards. Here we go. Nope. 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 This is all going to be broken down. Let me see. Ooh, come on. God. Actually, this is actually a card that I will be using. I only have 1 mining colony station and therefore only 1 trading port, and I really need an extra station that can stream to another station because I'm building heavy ships in so many stations, and I just need to spread the metal out more. And having only 1 industrial station in my empire means I have, like, the freighting capacity of my empire is frankly laughable. Even though that 1 station that does it really well. But so this is actually a good card for me. So I retract my statement. I did want a station card. Come on rounds. Come on rounds. Actually, yeah, good card. Don't see a use for it right now, but okay. More credits. A single firepower hit point. Oh, great. That's good. More bombing. Oh, excellent. Yeah, I got cards from one of my new gunship fleets that will arrive later. Change suggestion: maybe MPL frigates could get more cargo as well, further cement them as hauler faction. Frigates aren't really used to haul anything, so I don't get it. Sorry. How many weeks are you already into the server? But you said if I did not understand. Wait, this is server 3, and it's currently. No, not here. Daily rewards. It's currently starting. Week 4 just started, so we are almost halfway through the game. People ask me all the time, like, how much did you spend on a game? On this game, I have bought. I bought the Salak faction, just because I need that bonus because we're so few. I need the hit points. Give me the hit points. I bought one of these. I don't think there's much left. 6 days remaining. I didn't buy any of these. I think I bought this once and this once, and that is all the plat that I've bought in this game. These 2 offers, and I will not be buying anymore. Now I'm just keeping my plat like a treasured resource. I will hopefully carry some of this plat into the next game as well. But like I said, I also bought a faction, and yes, I like black holes, so I bought this as well. And that is kind of all I wanted to show you guys. I just kind of wanted to get like, I am in the top 20 of this server, and by right I should be in the, wait, have I fallen out of the top 20? Wait, hang on. No, I just can't read. Here I am. No. So I'm probably going to so this guy here hasn't responded to any of my hails because he seems like semi-active, and like he has a very juicing 962 influence station. So I am getting close to building another troop carrier, and if you're watching this, Black Dragon, that station is gonna be mine unless you respond. So, any more questions, guys? Yeah, I could use policies to better my my streaming things. Like I said, I probably entered Salk too early. I could have just sat back for a while and used the wildcard slot for either one of these to have these both up. I really don't need these, but this is super nice. Oh god, I want to see this. Like on my first station, I'm getting passive resource from my mining facilities, which have a I carded it for I have 2 armed drones, so they have a radius of 3 by normal, but that card gives them a radius of 4, and look at that. That's a level 1 missile battery. The resource output doesn't increase with their levels, so it's a super cheap way to get some nice passive res incoming right away. But you gotta watch out. You gotta make sure that your commodities, like if you get attacked, that you have enough steel slabs to upgrade them before the attack lands. But yeah, these guys are awesome. Look at that. That's a missile battery, granting me almost 1,000 stuff per. Yeah, this one does 2,000. So that's amazing. I love those. Is there going to be a lifetime premium? I'm not sure what you need. What do you mean by lifetime premium? Like, you mean like you buy once and it's on forever? Like, you guys, you don't need to spy me unless you want to give me the word. I'll just simply show you what's in my stations. Honestly, you can, like, I'm an open book. Whatever you want to know, I'll show you. I won't, however, tell you my exact future plans. Except for you, Black Dragon. You have messages. Respond. What did I use to capture my first GT? I actually used a troop carrier. Now, when I captured it, it was like, how much are they? How much influences are they? They are worth, let me see. They are 352. Yeah. So that's only like 352 influence I got from a troop carrier, but it still felt really nice to do it. It still felt worth it. Like, I used to have this frame of reference where I wouldn't spend a troop carrier on a station unless it's giving me 500 plus influence, but it really felt nice to do it. I didn't fall behind. Actually, like, once I did it, I jumped into like 7th place and then worked myself up to 5th place or something, or 6th place. Before that, like, almost a whole weekend where I couldn't log in. But yeah, it surprised me that I didn't feel any regret spending a TC on it. It actually felt, it felt adequate. So I think that was a nice decision. Saved me a lot of hassle of building up the station, and they are already pre-built with military and domain, which is exactly what I wanted. I just wanted. I'm gonna get some. Like, the company isn't exciting for me for this station, so I don't really care much about if I get the company here or not. But I do want to be able to defend it properly. So yeah, they are kind of just pre-built for a Stargate and a heavy ship assembly, which was something that I wanted. Yeah, buy once, keep forever. We actually, I'm not aware of any such plans. I wouldn't know where to begin about how much what that would cost. So, Achillean, actually, while we're on topic, what are your thoughts on prioritization for the Alliance station? Are FOBs more important or are Alliance assaults? Oh god, that's such a difficult question though. I think like damn it. So I'm simply not sure. I really don't know. If you're gonna be super aggressive, it kind of feels like the FOBs first. I think like the correct way is kind of have a bit of a balance there. For me, I would really want the FOBs to be like to have one FOB that is really good as soon as possible. If you are in an intra-sector war, like you're at war with another alliance in your sector, I think the alliance assaults are more important. But if the plan is, or if you're in conflict with another sector, then the FOB. So I guess that's how I would prioritize them. The military companies are lackluster, so I am very happy with the bellicose industry for my first station. It was a tremendous benefit to my strategy. The missile batteries were awesome. I rated, like, even if I did have some competition for rating for a little bit, but it's so nice to have more plunder than the next guy, because even if you both rate the same station, there was something to be left. Like you never return home empty-handed. So like every trip is worth something. However, building multiples of them doesn't feel very advantageous, like I said before. And I'm going to address this in the building planner. There's going to be more variety to companies, and you'll be able to customize your station a lot better. Dogs. I prefer. Doesn't mean I dislike cats. I just prefer dogs. I like to feel superior. While if you have a cat, you kind of feel submissive all the time. Right. This is turning into an AMA. Yeah. So, hopefully this has been, somewhat informative on a basic level for a lot of people, and for the people in my server, very informative. Yeah. Have you played Endless Sky? No, Black Thunder, and really, no, that's not something I've played. So as the questions are getting more and more off topic, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Thanks so much for participating, guys. We'll see you out there. Give me a few seconds. Maybe somebody comes. Question? No. Alright. See you later, commanders.